Our dear Great Park family, it is this Shabbat that we are introduced to a mitzvah to give a blessing to God. We do so under the circumstances of having eaten, v'achalta, v'savata, uveirachta, and we become filled, and we are satiated, and we are instructed to give a blessing to God. And from here are derived all the other blessings that have been instituted for us to recite because we partake of Hashem's bounty of this world. There's only one other blessing that is biblically commanded, and it relates to the reading of the Torah. When you get called up to read the Torah, say a blessing. Kishem Hashem ekra havu godel Elokeinu, and it is the blessing Baruch Hu et Hashem haborach, Baruch Hashem haborach l'olam va'ed. That blessing is also biblically instituted. What is different about these two blessings is that the blessing that we are told to recite when we eat, we are told to recite after we finished eating. V'achalta v'savata, you'll eat, you'll become satiated, and then you'll bless. But when it comes to the blessing that is recited on the Torah, it says before you get to read the Torah, recite the blessing relating to the Torah before you even recite it. So the question is why? Why when it comes to our physical sustenance, physical food, we are instructed to say the blessing afterwards? And when it comes to our spiritual sustenance, learning from the Torah, we are told to say the blessing before we say the words of the Torah. One of the suggestions is that it is totally counterintuitive, because the nature of a human being is that when we are partaking of Hashem's food and we're full, we're less likely to talk to God. We talk to God when we're hungry, when we have needs, when we are unfortunately vulnerable, and then we turn to God and say, help. But when we have eaten and we are full, it's much more easy to forget God. So the Torah says, don't only turn to God when you're hungry. Remember God when you're full and everything has gone so beautifully well. Don't forget where it came from. When it comes to our spiritual world, however, we are normally more inspired and motivated after we have read from the Torah, after we have drunk from our spiritual reservoir. That's when we're more inspired to connect to God. So there we say counterintuitively, don't wait for the inspiration. Don't wait for the speech that is going to make you feel inspired and then only begin your discussion with Hashem. Talk to God even before the inspiration, because that is counterintuitive. We normally are motivated once we have already been inspired. So may we turn to Hashem for all the blessings of life, physical and spiritual. May we realize that we have a capacity to bless and to acknowledge. And those blessings change our own lives radically, because when we live with an attitude of gratitude, our life becomes a blessing. Have a beautiful Shabbos and a good weekend.